Boss helps abusive employee accidentally fire herself. I originally posted this under Pro Revenge but was told it would be better suited here. Here is the post. This isn't my personal story, but it happened to a friend at his company and I thought it was hilarious. The main characters are my friend, Patrick, M., then 26, Ally, F., then 29, and Boss, M., older. Patrick and Ally worked at the same company, in the same division under Boss. Ally was abusive to all the employees in the division, but especially to Patrick, because he was the newcomer and he was talented and he didn't suck up to her. Her bullying tactics included, but were not limited to, taking credit for other people's ideas, convincing Patrick that the others in the division didn't like him, attempting to ruin the careers of anyone who didn't suck up to her, by preventing them from getting assigned to cool, new projects, and, last and worst, trying to get Patrick fired, which she almost succeeded in doing. She was so horrible to Patrick that his mental health suffered a decline. Everyone was vaguely aware of her behavior, but she hid the worst parts so it was never quite obvious or bad enough to get her fired. Plus she was also popular with the company's clients, who didn't know, and she was a favorite of one of the top people at the company. Ally seemed untouchable until several months after the Patrick almost gets fired incident, when the company started having a conversation about moving some of their employees to contract positions. Becoming a contractor would have its pros and cons. Contractors would pay for their own health insurance and would have no job security, being hired for individual contracts, rather than a permanent employment position, but they would also be allowed to work for other companies. It was a great move for someone who was well known and wanted more visibility and options, but a lousy move for someone lower on the totem pole. Ally, who was somewhat of a narcissist who believed she was destined for greatness, waltzed into Boss's office and told him she wanted to switch to a contractor position. She believed the company couldn't get by without her and would continue hiring her while she also got to work for other companies and gain fame and visibility within the industry. Boss was all smiles and pretended to be supportive of her. This is a great career move. Think of all the options you'll have. As soon as the paperwork was signed, he never hired her for a single contract and her future with the company, the best one in the city for this particular industry, was ruined. Ally eventually found employment elsewhere, but it wasn't as good as the position she'd left. Patrick found out the second part of the story years later. He was under the impression, because of what Ally had said and how people avoided him because they knew Ally didn't like him, that no one was on his side and that his co-workers and boss had actually liked her. They hadn't. Turns out Boss felt his hands were tied because she was a favorite of one of the top people at the company, but as soon as she gave him an out that allowed him to never have to work with her again, he took it. Boss gave her enough rope to hang herself with, and she took it happily. I worked with a crazy narcissist lady about my age. We were on the same level, co-workers, but she always acted like my boss and treated me like crap. I don't tolerate that and told her to her face how much I didn't like her. She was weird. We worked construction. There was a bolt in the ceiling that had to be taken out. It was a long reach but I knew I could get it because I have before. So I said I'll get it. She took offense to that. No, you can't, she said. So I looked at her like she was dumb and started climbing the ladder. She got pissed and started whispering to a coworker. I got it, came down the ladder and got in her face and was like, I can't. Surely if Boss didn't plan on ever hiring her again, why not just fire her in the first place? Is anyone else wildly distracted by the seemingly random use of double spaces between words? I have $10, if that helps. Is too long did not read. Still a thing. Expert move. I misread and thought it said set fire to herself. Makes me think of so many union employees who accepted a non-union promotion, only to discover that they are now expected to work nights and weekend for no overtime, and then get fired during massive layouts. Great move, Bob. This didn't happen to be related to waste management, did it? I know I make a terrible boss. I have no doubt I would mess with Patrick. Like every Friday I would force him to wear a name tag that says Rick and shout, my name's not Rick. That place is fire. What color is Canada? Was the boss older than the other two then or now? Wow. Just, wow, what horrible management. They don't belong in management if they need to resort to tricks to get rid of a bad employee. A decent manager, at least, sets clear expectations with no emotion, and practices radical candor when needed. You absolutely must tell an employee when they're doing something wrong, tell them the consequences if it happens again, and follow up. This is not only for the good of the bad employees but for the good of the good employees. Oh, there's a lot of these types out there. Lazy and stupid but good at making themselves seem important and making friends with the right people. They're the worst. This story sounds very similar to my own, except I didn't win. What was once a promising career in a job that I enjoyed ended with me resigning my position after my equivalent of ally joined the department and made my life a living hell. No one was on my side, not even the union. This is so satisfying. BPUJJ This gives me hope that a lot of bosses out there are still good judges of character, and that nice guys who work hard and keep their head down don't necessarily finish last. People on Reddit keep talking about productivity as being something important. TBH, office politics trumps productivity every time. Of course, being polite and good at the job is best, but if you have to choose one, it should be good at schmoozing. Raven proved herself to be at some places. Poor Patrick. Hope he's well. There are just so many rotten people out there that they trip up eventually, like so many stories here. It's the devious schemers who know how to hide their evil that are truly the bane of any company, because they're harder to catch in the act or expose. To think that B got the clients to think she's great while she screws with people like Patrick, Beelzebub, if he exists, should not only put a devil aside for ally, he should put 3. Also, seems there's more to the story regarding the boss. No. Is ally hot? Walmart would like to fire you. Sounds fucking awful for Patrick. Everyone let him suffer. Boss sucks at his job. Doesn't try to fire ally when she's abusive and manipulative to other members of the team. Shitty manager. Doesn't hire someone back contract only who's really popular with clients. Shitty businessperson. There are very few things in life quite as sweet as watching a self-absorbed narcissistic hang themselves with their own hubris and self-worth. Looks like it was an opportunity right up her alley. Gotta respect boss for letting her ass go and seeing through her bullshit. Some bosses are blinded by people like her and don't realize how big of a cancer they're working with. Karma is a bitter bitch. There is a saying I was told by my old man. When you say shitty things about others, the people who hear you often think shitty things about you. I never have a bad words to say about anyone, and I often only have nice things to say about everyone. This seems like a genius plan for the company to get rid of expensive senior employees without firing them. We'll generously take away your benefits and security, but in exchange you can work for other companies instead of us, also without benefits or security. Great. What hurts me that Patrick knew of the story years later. As I think mental issues take time to take root, and it's better if they are uprooted in the beginning. This has a lot of parallels to my situation at an old job. I eventually got out of it, but I had an ally who turned most of the office against me and was a huge suck-up, so our boss didn't believe she was a drama-seeking, narcissistic, rabid high schooler in a grown woman's body. Still have nightmares about her and that office sometimes, almost 3 years after getting out of that environment. Glad boss was able to use this for the betterment of their team. Man, I thought that story was going to be so much better. I think I know an ally, like the one your story, who possibly may have inflicted this on others like Patrick. This all rings too close to something my family member dealt with. I got into an abusive relationship and had to get her blinders gently removed to see how I thought I'd be doing her bro a favor if she got him to act like a goddamn adult. I've shown my supervisor I'm honestly curious, cause we don't work off the clock, whatsoever. No one is untouchable, but bosses like cash instead of the well-being of their workers. Wasn't me. Honest tears of joy, tears of joy, tears of joy. Don't call us, we won't call you either. Meta commentary. You have a fascinating relationship with the spacebar. I love this story, wouldn't mind hearing the almost got fired Patrick story. She doesn't sound like an ally. Amazing MC on the part of boss. Damn, my English is so bad that I thought she set her on fire. Your line of work sounds awful. I'm curious why ally never filed grievances with the labor office for the company not giving her any jobs when they promised to give if she converted to contracts. Not even one is obvious signs of tricking employees to resign instead of firing them.